when you look at what happened, is a matter of if you can't convert these players to yourself. And bear in mind, Manqoba Mngqithi is not someone new to these players. It's someone they know. It's someone who's always been there. It means ukuthi abanye bamncanywa. Most players will be like, alo asimncanywa lo.
Great run. He pulls it back. Rasmus Højlund. Thunderous. It's an absolute net buster.
Hello and welcome to this week's exciting episode of the Diski Preview Show, brought to you by Betfred at Betfred for the Betfred viewers. Your host for today's show is yours truly, uThisha. uThisha weDiski. And of course, I'm not alone. Today we're doing things differently. You used to Mo hosting, but today uThisha weDiski is hosting and Mo is our guest. Welcome, Mo.
How are you, Chief?
I'm alright, man. How are you, Mo?
I can't be a guest. I'm the analyst, Baba.
You're the analyst.
Yeah, so analyze what is keep on this weekend and give you my
You'll
perspective.
be doing more analysts, yeah, I mean, people have been dying to hear your views. They've been dying. You've been dropping bombs. Today's
Who's dying to hear my views?
I mean, if you check the comments, people are crying for more.
There's no such thing.
More. So we brought Mo today. Mo is gonna give you his views about the biggest soccer games taking place. I mean, on today's show, we're hosting the two giants of the South African football. We don't doubt that it's the two giants. We only have two giants, right?
Chiefs and Pirates.
Chiefs and Pirates. No, man. To be a giant, you must have a star. So our two giants, guys, is Mamelodi Sundowns and Orlando Pirates. We know Mamelodi Sundowns is going heads-on with Sekhukhune United, and that's on Saturday. Yeah. And then on Sunday, we have the Orlando Pirates, who is hosting Stellenbosch. Very exciting games for this weekend.
Yeah, no, it's a very exciting weekend, but you must always remember that when it comes to things like this, we're going to start seeing how the CAF affects the PSL now. Yeah, especially from a Pirates perspective.
Stamina, squad rotation, and those kind of things.
A lot of factors, but let's not get too much into it. We'll talk about it once we get into the conversation.
That's more for you. And expect exactly that. He's going to get into it and drop bombs. Oh, if you haven't joined the Betfred family, if you don't have an account with the Betfred family, take out your phone, go to your PC, open an account and get up to 500 free spins and up to 5,000 first deposit match and start betting. You know, with Betfred, you get the best odds all the time. As promised, we're bringing you the best analyst from UMO, and we're covering the biggest soccer teams in the PSL.
Yeah.
On our first game, we'll be looking at Mamelodi Sundowns, who is taking on Sekhukhune. Yeah, I mean, let's get to it more.
Let's get to it. Let's get
to it more. Let's get to it more. Mamelodi Sundowns.
Yebo.
Mamelodi Sundowns versus Sekhukhune.
Yebo.
Mamelodi Sundowns. It's all over social media.
Yeah.
For the wrongs and for the rights. What's your opinion, Mamelodi Sundowns? Is it still too early to judge, or there's trouble in paradise?
People have this thing, I would see, they, especially in soccer, we are very impatient. And like what coach said, at this point of the season last time, Sundowns had not won anything yet.
Correct.
Remember, that's what he said with the MTN 8 final, when he got knocked out of the MTN 8. Guti, no, we're still on the same page. By this time last season, we were still with no trophies. So now, we're in November. They've played 2 tournaments. They walked away with no silverware. And the argument can be made, Guti, maybe as a big team, they don't value MTN 8. They don't value Culling knockout, you understand? But now, the question is, you have fans who are following you. You have fans who believe in your team. And I don't want to say this because people are always saying, Guti, the thing with me and you is that we're always involving Chiefs even when they're not supposed to be involved. But if you remember how TS Galaxy made their name.
I said that when Sundowns played Magesi, correct.
Exactly, with Magesi. Remember how Sundowns made their name? I mean,
TS
Galaxy made their name. At that time, it was in the Nedbank Cup, if I'm not mistaken. And TS Galaxy had not even reached the PSL. And they won that final against Kaizer Chiefs. So we're starting to see the same thing. You understand? Magesi knocked out Orlando Pirates. Bear in mind, Magesi played all of their games in the Kali knockout as their away team. Only the final they played as their home team, and then they won the game. The stats were in favor of the away team, by the way, saying that the away team has won 54% of the matches over the home team in the tournament. But you look at that, and you ask yourself a very key question. In Europe, they're complaining about match congestion. They're talking about the FIFA Pro wants to go take FIFA to court to say, hey, Baba, you're killing us with the schedule that you're putting together, right?
Correct.
Mamelodi Sundowns suffers that more than most teams in South Africa. Because while Magesi had a whole 2 weeks to prepare for this match, Sundowns could not do that because half of their players were gone on international duty. And I'm not saying that it's a bad thing. What I'm saying is that if you have a Ribeiro still around, Ushalile is gone, Temba is gone, your goalkeeper is gone, Ispainse team asiko. They're playing for Bafana Bafana. By the time you come back, you want them to convert back to the style as Sundowns.
Correct.
You're expecting them to play a different tempo from what they do with Hugo Bros. And then you're expecting them to do that fresh off the blocks. And that's where match fatigue is coming into the picture. Because if you think about it, they came back, they played the final Kaling. After that, they immediately went to Africa to go play in the Champions League. And they drew that game. Yes, they didn't even win the game in the CAF Champions League. So now the question is it the schedule, or is it really the coach, or is it the philosophy, or is it the football? Yes, then.
Look, if you're going to speak about schedule, I'll ask you one question now. If Sundowns were to complain about their congested schedule, why accept invitations like for the cup that they play against Kaizer Chiefs, the Legends Cup? I mean, why not rest your players so at least you have your players well rested? You still
It's a very good
go
question.
involve yourself into unofficial tournaments.
My opinion about that was that they were doing that to, cushion the fact that they don't have, like, these players are getting cold feet. You understand?
Okay.
Meaning that the players that didn't go on international duty didn't actually go play. So what I'm thinking is that no, he's doing this to keep the players warm so that he can. But then he goes and he still selects the guys from Bafana. The reality is that illogic coach we can't say. You understand? And also it's not his invitation to honor. You understand? If it's between the owners or it's between the management to say no, it's the tournament fast, then there's nothing he can do about it. It's his job. He must supply a team. He must go play the tournament.
Guys, you're hearing more dropping bombs like he's always dropping bombs. If you haven't subscribed, 80% of our viewers haven't subscribed as yet. If you're one of those viewers who haven't subscribed, please click on the subscription button. And if you're liking the show, please click on that like button. We continue more.
Yeah.
Umangoba. When Umangoba took over, he said he wants to change the style of play
Yeah.
for Mamelodi Sundowns. He did exactly that, but results are not coming in. I asked this question. If Umangoba really wanted to change the style of play, don't you think he was supposed to get players who can play his style that he wanted to play? Or did he think the players he has could play the style and they're not actually delivering? Would you say, in a way, they sabotage? Players miss Rulani and they're not performing the way they're performing for Rulani? Or Umangoba is failing to get his instructions across?
I think Umangoba is working with a very difficult situation because in Tokala is that the fans must remember those players may feel loyalty to Urulani. You understand what I'm saying? And we've seen this before. I mean, I remember Chelsea I think it was 2012 or 2014, Chelsea 2014. I'm not sure about the year. But that Chelsea 2014, that Chelsea team, they went in and what happened was they played the Premier League under Jose Mourinho in his second season. Jose Mourinho had come in, won the league with Abo Hazard. The second season, Jose Mourinho was now sacked because of Chelsea. Those players were the same group of players that won the league the year before. Abo Diego Costa, Abo Eden Hazard, Abo Salah were in there, Abo De Bruyne, Frank Lampard, John Terry. Those players, they played for Mourinho in the first season. In the second season, they didn't want to play for Mourinho anymore. Leicester won the league. When Leicester won the league, they won the league thanks to an Eden Hazard goal. The next season, they came back and won the league again. It happened in France as well, when Pochettino went to go coach Paris Saint-Germain. That season, Paris Saint-Germain was trailing in the league. They were second, they were third, they were behind Lille. You understand? And when you look at what happened, it's a matter of if you can't convert these players to yourself. And bear in mind, Mangoba Mniti is not someone new to these players. It's someone they know. It's someone who's always been there. It means most players will be like, alo asimncanywa lo. Because there's internal politics, there's internal conversations. It's a matter of maybe, let's say he was the one who was like, nah, guys, Zungu sega kukile, man, she must go. Now you expected that same Zungu to stay and play for you. I'm not saying that's what he said. Correct. But all I'm saying is maybe there's underlying factors between player-coach relationships that are not going to gel. Urulani is not, not Urulani, what's his name?
Mango.
Utebo. He's playing his football, you understand? But under Urulani, there's a different understanding of how to use the player. Now the coach is saying, ifuna kanje manje. You understand? Khale sam manje. Doesn't necessarily mean the players are going to respect Guti, this is the new head coach. And don't forget, Steve Kompela even left and came back. So how is his relationship with the players? You understand?
How's the relationship
Now,
with the
you go get a third coach, who is the player's age, the senior player's age. So now you must consider that some of these players will feel that they don't have to do it for old coach. You understand? They won't play as hard as they used to. They won't chase it as much as they used to. And now you look at what they're doing at Bafana. These players are playing better at Bafana than they are for Mamelodi Sundowns. What does that tell you? They're starting to see value in the Bafana jersey now. So now that tells you that there's not a balance between what's going on internationally and locally. Some of these players also, for the fact that, Bafana's image has changed under these players, tenure at Bafana. How are they now treating their fame? You understand? Because now Utebomkone is a household name. How is he taking it? You understand? Uzungu has been a household name for long. Mshishi has been a household name. But imagine now, Utebomkone is now a household name. Though all those guys are they're being celebrated as household names. So how does that fame now affect them? What invites are they getting? You understand? But let's get back to the pitch. When I said to you that the players fans are being impatient, is they not taking into consideration the human factor of their football team? You understand what I'm saying? For the longest time, you were taking this team as a well-oiled machine. You understand? And it's ironic that Man City is going through a dip the same time East Sundowns is going through a dip. And they kept their coach. So it tells you, if you do the same thing for too long, everyone's going to figure you out. Teams are now hungrier more than ever. Now they have a new sponsor that took out 900 million. Now there's a new PES for the whole league. Teams are no longer going to sit back and say, everyone wants to shine. So is it not a question of the teams around Mamelodi Sundowns have improved, while Sundowns have stood still? You understand? Way before Sundowns could say, Sifuna le player, best player Chiefs. We want this best player from Amazul. We want this best player from there. Now teams can say, Sifun Baba. You understand?
But look at the turnaround. Look at the turnaround. Mamelodi Sundowns goes on to lose against Ipulukwane in the league. Mamelodi Sundowns goes to lose against Kaizer Chiefs, yes, in penalties in an unofficial tournament. Mamelodi Sundowns goes over to play a draw against Mainema, so-called small team in the Champions League. Yeah. Do you honestly say there's no need to panic? It's still early days.
There's no need to panic, but I will say that fans must accept, this won't be a Rulani season. They must just accept it. You understand? They can't accept the impossible. And I think, honestly speaking, it's not about when you're building a championship team. It's not about the match incidents. It's about the entire season as a full picture. If we get to the end of the season and Mangoba wins the league and then wins the Champions League, we'll forget about all these things we were saying, because the toughest time for any team is coming. January, February, we'll see. Because now it's December, Chief. December, we know PSL, you have a few games, Christmas, they're off, they come back in January, they continue. But the question remains, in that period, that's where Urulani lost it. Because Urulani lost his players to the CAF. By the time his players came back from the CAF, he was a couple of games behind, his players were fatigued, scheduling issues, they lost it. Talk about the CAF Champions League.
Correct.
Now the question is, they don't have to worry about CAF in January. You understand what I'm saying?
Correct.
It's a different ball game. The mandate was, we wanted you guys to win the Champions League. Mangoba has lost two cups already. There's no one talking about his job is on the line. Now, as much as it hurts, because you can see that he's losing the faithful, it will only start to hurt if that gap that's currently 3 points at the top of the league turns to 6, turns to 9, turns to 12.
And you know what's sad? I remember a couple of seasons back, a player left Chiefs for Mamelodi Sundowns. And when they were asked, how does it feel playing for Mamelodi Sundowns compared to playing for Chiefs? His response was, at Kaizer Chiefs, the only thing we look forward to every season is the derby. If we beat Pirates, we've made it. How ironic, if you look at Sundowns for the past, let's say, 2 or 3 months, the biggest achievement Sundowns has done was beat Kaizer Chiefs, was humiliate Kaizer Chiefs. The rest has been downfall. Do you think Sundowns is not actually turning into that of what Kaizer Chiefs was actually doing? And also another thing, Sundowns try by all means to stay out of social media.
Yes.
Look what Mangoba Mngeti is doing now. He's attacking Orlando Pirates players. That same Orlando Pirates who's currently sitting on top.
Of the league.
And that same thing is actually frustrating the Mamelodi Sundowns fans.
But there's underlying factors at the end of the day. I mean, from his perspective as a head coach now, if I was him, I'd be focusing on my job. You understand? The problem with the kind of job they do is that the media is always involved. And sometimes you say things out of anger. You say some things out of resolve. Because you're playing in a game where you're expected to win, number one. It's a final, number two. You play against a team that's newly promoted, that just came from nowhere now. A team that was put together in 2012 and has grown to what it is today. Now you find yourself in a situation where you're playing in the final against these guys. Their goalkeeper is exceptional. No one's coming back and saying if Sundowns lost that game because Chipezeze. No one is coming back and saying Chipezeze had a great game. Chipezeze had a great game.
You want a man of the match.
You can't take it away from them.
You want a man of the match.
that guy was saving everything and everything. You look at the goals that they scored. Yes, then look at the goals that they scored. Rulani comes in, not Rulani. Mangoba comes into the press, the post-match interview, and he says, I told my players, don't let these guys cross, because most of their goals come from this cross on this side. What happens? They concede the goal from that side. The same thing, if he really explained it before the match, you explained it to your players, and it still happened. Yeah. So what does that say to you about the relationship between the players and the coach?
So the brotherhood we're talking about, we always spoke about from the Sundowns, what we're saying is dying.
All I'm saying is that it's a job, Oksala. They will do their job to the best of their abilities. Yes, then. But the reality is that if you as a coach don't have any bearings on your players, Urulani was an intense guy. He was standing there on the touchline, scream at these boys, call you one by one. Not every coach is like that. Umangoba is not that. Umangoba is giving his orders at the start of the game. He sits back and he watches. You understand? Why was he not talking to his players when these things were happening? Seeing that the first time they attempted it doesn't go through. Why doesn't he say again, Jens Vugan ngai? Because at the end of the day, imshai.
Like I always said, when the birds sits for too long on the fence, it attracts a stone. Look exactly what's happening. Let's get back to the game. Sundowns is hosting Sekhukhune. What do you think is going to happen in the game? Sekhukhune is saying, Mamelodi Sundowns is going through a patch.
Yeah.
Imakesi had fun against them. Kaizer Chiefs had fun against them in the tournament. Champions League, that team had fun against them. Sekhukhune is missing them. What do you think is happening psychological in the Sekhukhune camp?
Well, Sekhukhune is also going through its own drama. Don't forget that they also had a situation at the start of the season with the coaching where they sacked their coach, hired a new coach, sacked that coach. Sacked that coach, brought the new coach back, old coach back, got knocked out of the confederations. So Sekhukhune is not the team I thought they were going to be at the start of the season. If you go back to these videos, maybe from June or July, I was saying that be excited about Sekhukhune. But then they got a coach, they fired the coach, they brought the old coach back. And I remember that time we were talking about the same thing, the players favoring the old coach more than the new coach. But now you're looking at what's happening at Sekhukhune is that they're not looking like a well-oiled ship. They're far from a team that they were last season. They're sitting all the way in 6th. They're sitting in 10 points. That's 11 points behind the Pirates at the top of the league. On top of that, their goal difference is not that impeccable. They're sitting on a +1 goal difference. They scored 7. They've conceded 6. So for a team that's scoring as much as they're conceding, they're not promised. They don't give you that resolve to say or that confidence to say they can win a match. You understand? Because bazokora bakor. You know what I mean? They'll score and concede. So it's not gonna. They're not a team that will say we can say that no, Sundowns should be panicking because they're gonna go play. The reality is also that Sundowns, on the other hand, have in their last 5 games have a loss and a draw and have 3 wins. And those 3 wins came back to back after they initially lost to Polokwane. So they managed to get a win against Cape Town City, a 4-0 win against Kaizer Chiefs in the Kali knockout, and then again in the PSL they managed to beat Polokwane 2-0. Then they came back, and then if you look at it, they managed to get a win against Imorumo Kalat. So the conversation there is very basic and very simple to say Sundowns has not lost it all. They can still come back and have a good day against Sekhukhune, especially bearing in mind that Sekhukhune last year was the team that was beating the big boys in the last days.
Correct.
Sekhukhune, for them to get into top 4, the last few weeks of the league, they were beating everything and anything that moved. You understand? Now, they're not that same team. You look at their last 5 matches, they have 2 wins, 2 losses, and 1 draw, which means, you know what I mean, their form is not consistent. They don't have back-to-back wins. They don't have back-to-back losses. They have a draw, win, loss, win, loss. So it tells you, but they don't have a formula to success.
And also, if you're looking at the history alone, they've met on 6 occasions. Sundowns went over to win 5 of those games, and there's been a draw. Sekhukhune has never won against Mamelodi Sundowns. But if Sekhukhune was to win against Mamelodi Sundowns, I think this is the match.
But bear in mind, you know what? If you don't want to talk about ambience, there's the CAF Champions League that took place. It was a midweek fixture. The stadium had some faces in it, but it was not packed. Now you're going to fetch Sundowns on a Saturday, 8 Epitori, the whole of Mamelodi, Mapopani, Atteridgeville.
So it's
in
called
the stadium. So now that's the thing. You play against a big team. You mustn't forget they're not Kaizer Chiefs level of Zotqalisi Stadium, Orlando Pirates, but they also have a presence at Sundowns. You know what I mean? And because it's a Saturday, most South Africans, we have to be honest, work Monday to Friday. So obviously, in a weekend, but playing plus Dallas Singapore. When was the last time you went to go watch a Sundowns game? Or when was the last time Sundowns played home during a Saturday during the week? You understand?
And
so those guys in Pretoria, by Mihle, by Mihle, this is what Stadium. Sekhukhune will feel the heat. Sekhukhune, for me, I think they won't get the result out of this.
Yeah. And I think Sundowns players, they need the fans' support now more than ever.
I think, honestly speaking, from a human perspective, some of these players need a break. Genuinely, some of these players need a break.
But here's the thing. If you want to speak about break, we always speak about rotation. Umangoba has tried rotation, and that same rotation hasn't brought him results. We roughly say Sundowns has a squad of 40 players. But have you noticed good Sundowns actually has
a squad
of 11?
It's an 11.
Because if you try and you change that starting 11, it's not the same Sundowns. I mean, you don't recognize Sundowns. It's only the jerseys that make you recognize Sundowns. You look at what's the striker? Sales. He's been given a chance. He's not bringing the results. You look at a player like Ukoza, but it's still early. He was given a game time again in the Champions League. But deep down, you know, you still need Umval.
It's a matter of it's something you can fix in training. That one is a matter you have to fix it in training. You have to mix. You have to take your first team and you have to take your, let's say, your second team. You have to continuously play these guys outside of their relationships. You understand? Because one thing about football is a very social sport. Any team sport is a social sport. If you think about when as a centre back, you understand? There's a player you prefer to partner you.
Correct.
Always there's a player you prefer.
Correct.
And it's because when maybe when you're vocal, he's quiet.
Correct.
Maybe you're more of a cover defender. He's more of an aggressive defender.
Correct.
So if you go as a coach and you put two players who are gonna cover defend, you're gonna concede goals because instead of one going up and one backing off, both of them wanna back off. Which means you're gonna leave a gap in front of you. So at the same time, it's not a matter of there's no rotation. It's a matter of having to manage the relationships between the players. To manage low, not low are compatible. If they're not, don't play them at the same time. You understand? You can't play a Ribeiro with a Ribeiro. It won't work. You understand? If you think about the best front threes in the world, you look at Neymar, Messi, Suarez. Suarez was a poacher. Messi was a straight line dribbler. You look at Neymar. Neymar was a trickster. You look at Liverpool now. They have Luis Diaz. They have Darwin Núñez. They have Mo Salah. Mo Salah is a straightforward dribbler. Luis Diaz is more of a trickster. You look at Jota and Núñez, what their job is to poach. So you can't take a front three and put three of the same player up front because they're going to behave the same way. So instead of having, like, for example, when Liverpool was at its prime with Mane, it was Mane,
Mo Salah,
Firmino. You look at Firmino in that three. Firmino was the brains. He was the player who dropped to go collect the ball, find the smart pass. You understand? He was playing as a 10, a false 9, basically. If you look at Sadio Mane, you've never seen Sadio Mane a step over. He was dialing direct. He just drops the man, goes in for the shot. So Sundowns at this point in time, they have, like I said, that spine of Ronan Williams, Mokoena, and you know what I mean? They need to rethink that spine and say, guys, we have to make sure that you guys are interchangeable. Because we cannot always rely on Mokoena to come play. Because Mokoena is pivotal for Bafana. So if you're saying Mokoena comes back from Bafana straight into a Sundowns jersey,
exactly.
Especially those games are 3 days apart.
Exactly. I think Umangoba is learning the hard way about that. I mean, as much as they may not have a good relationship with the likes of Umutau, Mukwena and stuff, but the minute you decide to omit them from the squad, you don't get the results.
You don't get your results.
But at the same time, you also, as a coach, you don't want to be told by the players. I mean, you're the coach. You're supposed to stop the players.
Well, at this point, you must understand, like, I think the last throw would be if they go too far behind in the league. If they find themselves, like I said, 9 points behind Pirates, maybe behind Polokwane City by 3 points.
At least it's only 3 now. At least it's only 3 now. Now enough about Mamelodi Sundowns. Let's go to the big one.
Yeah.
The prediction.
Yeah, of course.
Their prediction.
Of course.
Mamelodi Sundowns is hosting Sekhukhune. Who's taking the 3 points?
I think first of all, from my opinion, looking at this situation that's unfolding in front of us here, like I said, the Sundowns don't have a reason to panic, especially the fans. They'll be there on Saturday. I think Sundowns will also be comfortable. They have time to rest. I mean, after the midweek fixture, it's not enough time, but they at least have time to, get their rhythm back. So I think they're going to win this game by at least 3-0. The goals they have not been scoring will come in this game.
Sundowns to win. Guys, you heard Mo. Sundowns to win this game by 3-0. What have you got to say? Do you think Mo is speaking the truth, or do you think Mo is just wishing Sundowns can win? Wishful thinking. Let's hear your comments. Leave your comments. Let's hear what you got to say. Mamelodi Sundowns is taking on Sekhukhune. I mean, Sekhukhune will be wanting to prove a point. And then the Sundowns again, they'll be wanting to prove that they're the best team in South Africa. Leave your comments. Let's hear what you got to say. Now on to our second game. That is Orlando Pirates, who will be playing Stellenbosch. What a game. In fact, this is a game of grudges. Remember, they met in the M10-8.
Yeah.
Goal, was it supposed to be given? Was it not supposed to be given? So this is the game of grudges.
Yeah.
Orlando Pirates sit, can I say comfortably? They sit comfortably on top of the log. 7 games, 7 wins.
Can I just throw a curveball into that one? Because a lot of people know Guti. I always speak positively about about Orlando Pirates. And that's because there's been so much to be excited about around this team. But I just want to ask you guys a question, Guti. Have you guys considered the fact that Guti, playing the Champions League and playing the PSL is not the same as playing the PSL and finishing in second? You understand what I'm saying? Because if you hear me out, this is what I'm saying. Orlando Pirates are doing well this season, exceptionally well. But we also have to remember that they got knocked out of the Kali knockout by Umagesi. Yes, Magesi went on to go win it. But it was the first round of the tournament. No one knew Magesi was going to go win it. When they got knocked out by Umagesi, we were like, Pirates, what's going on? But at the end of the day, it's still early days. And I think also Pirates has momentum on their side. Because they started the season in MTN 8. By the time the PSL came in, they were already playing. You understand? So those players were already in the mindset of while the teams were still warming up and getting into the picture. And one thing about the PSL is that the PSL is a difficult league because of that reason. And that's why after June, February, we always see teams come to life. Because they've played enough games. Now they've gelled, I'm a player, now know each other. Because one thing about the PSL is there's a lot of movement that happens. Players retire, players get sacked, players get signed, you understand? So you look at Orlando Pirates now, they have their core players. So much so that I haven't had someone talk about Umunapule Seleng in a while.
Correct.
Because
you see what
I'm saying? People are moving on from those players. But one thing that Pirates has done so well over the teams around them is that they've introduced new faces successfully.
Correct.
And they've done so while everyone else was focusing on what they already had. While Sundowns was focusing on a Serino last year and Mukwena, these guys were going in and saying, no, let's get Seleng back from his Swallows and see what he does. Boom. Oh, okay, he's working. Okay, let's get Mufokeng from uDiski Challenge and see what he does. You say, let's get Usman Ban. So now you look at this team and they have the star power. Like they can get results. But one thing they have is they have a very youthful side.
Correct.
And one thing about youth is that youth will always take you all the way. But we've seen it many times in history where youth takes you all the way but doesn't deliver the trophy. Because the first time, for example, Germany came to South Africa in 2010, they had a youthful squad. Tony Kroos was a child. Thomas Muller was in that squad. Muset Ozil, Abu Khedira. They were all young. They were all promising. They were all young stars. What happened when they got to the knockout stages? They fell apart. Yes, then after blowing teams away, 4-0, 3-0, 7-0, they couldn't make it happen. But what happened when they came back the next year?
But look at it this way. Look at it this way. You always say when you're competing in many tournaments, there's a tournament that you need to sacrifice.
You need to pick
Look, Pirates lost against Imakes.
Yes.
And if you remember the starting lineup for Orlando Pirates, they benched. They no more starting 11. They had new guys come in. And they lost. With that loss, with them being knocked out of Carling Cup, meant the players get more rest. Because now there's few games for them. What happened? Now it's paying off. Because look how well they're doing now in the Champions League. I said, remember when we started the show earlier this year, I said Pirates is going to go further than Sundowns
in this competition.
In the Champions League.
Yeah.
It's the first game. Pirates has 3 points. Sundowns is on 1.
And-
But that's
and-
Kev.
and not
That's
just 3
another thing.
points.
Let's go back to the league.
But you're saying 3 points like they just beat any other team. They beat Belouizdad.
And guess what? That same team was the favorites. Pirates were underdogs. But they went to do wonders. But what I love the most about the Orlando Pirates, we spoke about rotation. We spoke about depth, your squad. Do you know what's nice about Orlando Pirates? If you look at Orlando Pirates for the last 3 months, every month they're introducing
New
a new
faces.
player who does exceptionally well. Even if the player has been there for a while, but there's a month.
But-
Every month the Pirates, we had, for a long time, we were speaking about Patrick Maswangani. That is the key of Orlando Pirates. Mfukeng picked up his hand out of nowhere. Was doing amazing things for Pirates.
Yeah.
You know who's picking up his hand now? Unkot.
Mm.
He's picking up his hand now. So if this continues, Pirates is gonna soon. And remember, there's a Gilberto at Orlando Pirates. We haven't seen what he's capable of.
Yeah.
We saw slight views or slight videos of what he done for his previous club. We haven't
Yeah.
seen his true potential. By the time he shows his true potential, who's gonna be able to stop Orlando Pirates?
I like the fact that you speak with so much excitement, eh? But the reality is that when you get to a CAF Champions League, the only difference between CAF Champions League and the PSL is that that's more physical, Baba. It's Africa, Lapaya. And the tactics there to throw you off are different.
Correct.
I've heard stories of players arriving at the airport, no pass. You heard about Nigeria the other day. But they got to a country, there was nobody to fetch them. The reality is that the CAF is a different animal altogether. And the thing is, it's not just a physical thing, mentally as well.
Correct.
You're asking these players to go away for 6 months at a time. Football only, no family, no friends. Zobana after. Sundowns is used to that lifestyle.
And we must thank Sundowns. Pirates is performing the way they're performing because of Mamelodi Sundowns. Mamelodi Sundowns are trendsetters.
Yeah, they're trendsetters. But let's get back to the conversation. This team, right? We have not seen how they behave under the pressure of injuries. You understand? Because all these boys are coming in. Yes, Baya Shisa, they're all coming in. But the reality is that at some point, especially like I said, the January-February period, that's where champions are made. Because once you get to Jan-Feb, you're no longer in the group stages of the CAF Champions League where you can win 3 points and you're sitting beautiful and you're nice and you can afford to draw this game. Now it's wafa. Knockout time. Ngapa you have Nedbank Cup. Ngapa you have PSL. Ngapa you have CAF Champions League. You understand? You must keep all of these things going. And the squad depth is going to come into the picture because you're asking Abo Maswangai and all those big boys to come in and play all 3 of these tournaments every 3 days. You understand? So, like you said, they went against Makesi. They rested a few players. Chigi, they got knocked out. And the reality is that that's how you see these tournaments go because even in England, you look at the Carabao Cup, you look at the FA Cup, teams usually, I don't care about that trophy. But now all of a sudden the big teams care because they realize, hey, Baba, we might not be able to win the league, but we can win this thing. And that's what's happening now in Africa because before the Champions League felt like something that Egypt cared about. It felt like, no, only Egypt and, Algeria, those guys, they really care about this thing. And then next thing now, the SADC teams now care. Now that the SADC teams now care, they're starting to challenge Abu Belouizdad and win those games. But the reality is that the schedule is grueling. Physiotherapists are going to have to do more work. The doctors are going to have to do more work on these players. And the thing is, you can't always plug and play players because you need chemistry, like I said. You're told, if, let's say, in the midfield, you get a Maswangai who's beating people and, he has his way. He knows what's okay. Evidence is going to be running like this instead. If I look this way, Saleng's going to be running like that. The reality is that without that guy there, he gets injured, someone else comes in, he gets injured. Injury lists are the bane of football. You can't have reliance on certain players, especially up front where your goals are coming from. And as you can see, Pirates has got 2 things that's working for them. Their game management, because they know how to manage the ball.
Correct.
Number 2, their finishing.
Correct.
The finishing is exceptional. And you can see what the coach has invested time in creating finishers. One thing about South African football, we all have to admit, and people might hate me for this, we are not a kind of country that produces finishers. That's why Sundowns went into the market and bought players outside to come finish for us.
Correct.
You understand? That's why they went for a Shalulile. That's why they went for a Ribeiro. Because South Africa, from the grassroots level, does not produce strikers.
But we're working on that. Look, Reyners is doing wonders.
But look at the environment that Reyners comes from. Western Cape.
Yeah.
Benny McCarthy, Western Cape.
Yeah. Like you said, I mean, you spoke about
Yeah,
Western
that's
Cape very well last show we had.
Yeah.
But Oksala, what I'm saying is South Africa is working. It's a work in progress, and they're doing wonderful. Going back to Orlando Pirates, you talk about busy schedules and whatnot. Do you see Orlando Pirates is doing exactly what Sundowns did?
Exactly.
Look, these 7 games, 7 wins. That's exactly what Sundowns did last season. Get the most points as you can in your first 15 games, then you can afford to give away the games when
At the end of the season.
when your schedules gets congested and you have to focus in the knockout stages there at Champions League.
I'll tell you one thing about where I think Mangoba, the difference between Mangoba and Jose Riviero is. Mangoba has witnessed Sundowns, succeeding for a very long time. And I think at some point the advantage will show. And it's not going to show now because at this moment in time, we're still very mid-season. We're not at that point where a result can change your season like this. Because as much as, like I said, they're losing games as Sundowns, it's not going to change their season. But at the same time, Orlando Pirates winning all these games, and this will still not change their season. Because Orlando Pirates didn't fall apart mid-season. They fell apart at the end of the season last season.
The only difference now is they've got more points.
The only difference now,
more points
yes,
than they had last
the difference is they had less competitions last season. Because once they get into the last 3 months, they lost. You remember that time when Stellenbosch would lose a game, they would lose a game. You understand? That was at the end of the season. But mid-season, last December, November, June, Feb, they were flying, Pirates. They were flying. But now the only question is, with the added competition on the cards, with the possible injuries that are still to come, it's a different ball game.
But what's nice, if you speak about injuries, if you look at Orlando Pirates, you still have Umbat.
Yebo.
And we know Umbat, machine.
Yebo.
Orlando Pirates, he's not playing, he's out.
Yeah.
You have Uchilberto.
Yes.
He's also not 100%.
He's still to come back.
He's still to come back. So at least Pirates, they have that thing, if Umasanganye was to be injured or if Umfukeng was to be injured, they
have backups, yeah.
You look at the strike force, even the coach sometimes gets confused. He
But
doesn't
no-
know who to play, Umabasa or Umahopa. So they do have the depth.
They do, but don't forget, Mabasa feeds from a certain kind of play. For example, if you look at, I don't know which team, the first time Manchester City won the Premier League, they had Edin Dzeko, they had Aguero, they had what's this guy's name? Balotelli. And these guys unlock defenses differently. Balotelli will take a shot from outside of the box net. Dzeko will need it in the air, cross net. Aguero has both these abilities, but he favors layoff shooting. And he favors more dribbling to get into the box to score the goal. Now, that is just the rotational thing that Issa Pirates have at the moment. They can't afford to rely on that thing he won. Because what happens with players is that, for example, in Liverpool, when they sold Coutinho, they lost someone who could score from outside of the box, who could create goals from nothing. So now you lose this guy. What do teams start doing? They sit deep. Because they know you can't score from there. Because the one person who could score from there is gone. You understand? So you must think of it in the same way. Guti, if you look at Sundowns over the years, every year, teams now work on how they're going to defend against Umshishi. Every year. Whether you look at Sundowns' goals from 3 seasons ago, Umshishi was a catalyst. You look at them 2 seasons ago, Umshishi was still a catalyst. Last season, goals had to come from other places. You understand? Goals had to come from deeper. They had to be manufactured by Umkwena and Alende. You understand? To be able to get it into the back of the net. Because why? Teams are starting to say, it is Valumshishi. If we close this, that will not happen. So the team has to look at an alternative.
That's what Pirates is kind of doing. That's why
Pirates at the moment, they have 2 outlets of goals. If they don't build it up through the wingers, they're going to build it up through the middle. And when they build it up through the middle, they'll finish with the wingers. But if they build it out from wide, they're going to finish with Mahopa. That's why if you look at Sundowns, I mean Pirates at the moment, they'll start with a Mahopa on the bench. Because they want to score fancy goals. They want to make it look pretty. My feel like 60th minute, but I want to say, hey, we need goals. They go put in Mahopa. Because now they want to dial direct. It's a matter of, in the beginning, we want a budget. We want beautiful goal. You know what I mean? But same thing with Hugo Pros. You've never seen Hugo Pros opt to start with Mahop. Well, he does. But you always opt, he's an emergency player. When it's not going right, you call 911. You say, Baba, hey guys, give this guy the ball. Because players like that, Umahopa, one thing I like about him, to be a player that can score from crosses, means that you must be a player that can read body language, number one, and understand your teammates. Umahopa, you see, he'll run into the box. A player who scores from headers, you'll see they'll run into the box. But the moment that player gets set up to start setting in the cross, he just goes to where the player's going to take the ball. How does he know? Yes, then. Defenders don't know good Lomchita. They don't know if the cross is going to come this side, top. This guy just knows good Imela. You know what I mean? So you're looking at a player like Umahopa. The beauty of Umahopa is that if he was in any other country, they'll call him a super sub. You understand? He's a Divock Origi. Origi is a Liverpool legend, but he's not the main number 9. You understand? Darwin Nunes was supposed to replace Origi, but the problem is that they gave him the number 9 and they think he can play like a number 9. He's not a number 9. He's a player you need off the bench, to bring something different into the team. So that's what Makgopa is. The real nature of Orlando Pirates is tiki-taka, slow build-up, manage the football, you understand, manage the ball, build it up, put it on the edge of the box. Once we're there, let's try and do a smart thing and get into the... You understand? If anything, Sundowns should have went for Jose Riviero last season when Rulani left. No, it's really...
No. Are you saying that?
No. I mean, imagine with the kind of talent that Sundowns has, with the technical... Not technical... With the tactical abilities that Jose Riviero has, he would have taken... Sundowns would be untouchable right now. Because he likes his football slow.
Guys, are you hearing more? Are you guys hearing more?
Saying.
Mo says if Sundowns had Rivero,
Yeah, Riviero, sorry.
the coach from Orlando Pirates, as coach, Sundowns would be unstoppable. Why do you guys have to say it? Do you guys agree? Or do you disagree with Mo? But coming to this game...
Carry on, yeah.
You shocked us. Bomb. But I told you guys Mo's going to drop bombs. That's a bomb. Let's go back to this game. Stellenbosch. It's playing Orlando Pirates. If you look at it head-to-head, they've played a couple of times. But we look at the last 6 games. Pirates has 1-3. Stellenbosch has 1-3. So it's even. It can go either way. Pirates come to this game having won the last game. But that was it was a cup game. They won it 3-1 in the M10-8. But if you look at league, things are different. It can go either way. How do you think this game will pan out? Do you think Stellenbosch has enough? I mean, they have the likes of Pasadena. They have the likes of Abu Jason Adams. They have quality themselves.
One thing about Stellenbosch is defensively, they're beautiful. I think one thing about them is that they don't score many goals. They're not a team that's going to score a lot of goals, especially after the departure of Reyners. Yes, then they're still a team that's finding itself, or they're a team that are finding themselves going forward. You understand? But defensively, they know what they're doing. And one thing about Stellenbosch is that on the counter, they'll catch you. Yes, then that's where they excel. They'll catch you on the counter. Like the last time these two teams played each other, we were talking about possession versus counter-attacking football. And Stellenbosch, at this moment in time, they don't have it right yet. You can see in the results. In the last 5 league matches, they have 3 draws, 2 wins, and none of them came back-to-back. It's a draw-win, draw-win. You understand? Draw. So you're looking at a team that they know what they're trying to do. They have the team to do it, but they're still trying to figure out how they're going to get their goals right. And they know at this point in the season, they have no rush. They have 1 loss in the league. They have 3 draws, 3 wins.
So they're doing very well.
They're doing very well. They're doing fairly well. And they're not too far away from their competitors. I mean, they're 1 point away behind Polokwane. They're like 5 or so points behind Sundowns.
I mean, they're currently sitting, what, 4th?
They're currently sitting 4th, yes. So if you look at it, it's not a bad start to the season. Bearing in mind that they lost their main man in front of goal.
They also lost
to Sundowns.
A great defender.
Exactly. So for them, they will do what they always do with these games. They will try and manage, damage control. Don't concede too many goals. They'll always do that. I mean, when we started the season off against Orlando Pirates, that's exactly what they didn't do, and then they conceded 3 goals. That was the last time they conceded more than 1 goal. So you need to look at it like that to say, these guys, they know they're capable. And one thing about them is that they try to manage defensively first to say, but it's okay, let's not concede. But going forward, we might get something on the scraps. So it's gonna be like, okay, if we were to give it this match an identity, would say that possession is gonna be in favor of Orlando Pirates by a distance, at least 60 to 70% possession.
You're kidding me?
No, I'm telling you.
Let's go back to the M10-8. Who had the most ball position in the M10-8 in the final?
In the final of the MTN8?
Yeah.
Okay, the director is tired of us saying about Valan Leshandis. It was
but Stellenbosch was all over Orlando Pirates.
Yes, but that's a cup game.
That's
a cup game.
Oh, so cup game, Stellenbosch will dominate, and Pirates, when it comes to league, Pirates will dominate.
Yeah, no. Pirates will dominate the position in this game. I think, if you think about it, it was a cup game. And Stellenbosch knew the reputation that Pirates had. So they had to throw everything at it. They had to try and win it somehow. You understand? So they gave it their all. They started off hot. They maintained the ball. They were chasing it. But if you look at what happened in the second half, that's when most of their problems started. They conceded 2 goals after the 90th minute. You understand? So it tells you they gave it their all. They won't overexpend themselves in this one. They won't try and try and out Pirates. You understand? They'll let Paris do their thing. They'll let Paris keep the ball. They'll let Paris play their football. But they'll try and catch Paris on the counter. That's what I would do.
Look, I mean, Paris is in great form. 7 out of 7. Abonkota, they're scoring goals for fun. Abonfukeng is scoring goals for fun. Paris is in great form. But Stellenbosch, in fact, is very much capable of an upset.
But the reality is that it wouldn't be an upset because in the league, I think Stellenbosch have a lot more to offer. And I think from a Pirates perspective, yes, they have the record at the moment for the most wins and all those things, no defeat yet. But the reality is that Stellenbosch is a very capable team, and they've had time now to recover from the departure of Reyners and other players. They've had the time. There's no more excuses. Yes, then by the time the MTN8 started, they were still very new to the block again. By the time the CAF Champions League started, they were still very new to the block about the CAF Champions League. Now they have no excuse. They're mid-season. So the players they have must work or they don't work. It's as simple as that. So the reality is that you prioritize what you have. You forget about what you don't have. You work with what you got. And to be honest with you, I think when it came to the MTN8 final, they also felt at that time and in that period of time that, hey, dog, how did we get here?
Stellenbosch.
Yeah.
I win.
They knocked out the Sundowns, ain't it?
Yeah. Convincingly. So
Yeah.
it wasn't a surprise. Stellenbosch is a...
I think every coach has a plan at the start of the season, and some of the coaches' plans don't go according to maybe they thought no, so Lali MTN8 we'll see where that takes us. It was not a matter of we're gonna play MTN8 and win it. You understand? Because like I said to you, the body language of Stellenbosch, the team that was leading in second towards the end of the season and dropped to third. You understand? I think they dropped to fourth. They're not those guys. Understand? If anything, they remind me of. Let me hurry up. But if anything, they remind me of teams like the Red Bull teams.
Or Salzburg.
Ajax. Yes.
Or Girona.
Ajax. Not in terms of how the club is run, but the way Ajax, Benfica, Sporting, those teams remind me of Stellenbosch. They will go and challenge for these things. But then they will sell their best players that got them there. Then they'll go back, find more players, go back, challenge again. And then I wouldn't be amazed now in January, Chigi, the players we've seen performing for Stellenbosch, the hot ones, via. So that's what I'm saying to you. In the league, they're going to want to maintain pace. They will want to play a different game against Orlando Pirates. They'll give Orlando Pirates problems. They'll probably get a draw or actually a win out of this game. Then, come January, those players will be gone again. What's the thing is?
What's the thing is? Let's put your head on the block.
Yeah.
Your prediction.
I
Orlando
know.
Pirates versus Stellenbosch.
I
Remember, they're playing at Orlando.
I think Orlando Pirates will get their first defeat of the season. That one.
Orlando Pirates will get the first defeat of the season.
But
Orlando Pirates will also have 60 or 70% ball position.
Yeah. They'll dominate the ball.
Guys, you're hearing more.
But they'll enjoy the ball, but they won't be able to convert.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, no, that's what I'll say. They won't be able to convert.
Guys,
I think
you had more.
The mindset of teams like Stellenbosch is against the big teams. On the big days, we must show up. Because these players are being told, I need you want to earn the big monies. Nah, but much that earn the big monies. Show the club, go to hey, daughter. These guys, mahala.
And the boys also, boys from Stellenbosch, they want to perform so they can go to these big clubs.
Look at Reyners.
Increase their salary.
Yeah, look at Reyners. Reyners is doing now. So exactly.
So more you saying Stellenbosch Pirates has their first defeat this weekend?
Yeah, I say they will drop points this weekend.
That's a big one. Do you agree with Mo or do you disagree? Leave us your comments. Let's hear what you got to say. Now Mo Asivale. Let's do the prediction, the recap. Prediction recap.
Yeah.
First game. We start off with Mamelodi Sundowns, who's playing Sekhukhune.
Mamelodi Sundowns versus Sekhukhune. What I say is going to happen. I said Mamelodi will win. Easy by 3 goals.
By 3 goals. And then the last game.
Upset. It's either they're dropping points for sure. Pirates are dropping points for sure. There's no doubt. They're definitely dropping points for sure.
Guys, you hearing more? He's saying Pirates is dropping points and Mamelodi Sundowns will go on top. Because of course, if Pirates drop points, they go to lose. Mamelodi Sundowns wins. Mamelodi Sundowns goes to the top. Sky's the limit. Guys, you heard more. Mo is saying Pirates is dropping points and Mamelodi Sundowns is taking all 3 points. That's it. That's all for us for this week's episode of the Diski Preview Show. We'll be back next week with more exciting games.